Right, so the Queensland Globe. We started this process quite some time ago. This is almost a once upon a time story to start with, to give you a bit of background to where we are now. So, once upon a time, it flooded in Queensland. So back in 2011, there were the major floods in Queensland, and part of the work the department was doing was assisting the Department of Communities in identifying the payments that could go out to people quite easily. To do that, we started using an internal version of the Google Earth Enterprise product, and around that time also the open data, the state government open data policy was launched, so it made data more available. Google then made another release in 2012, which allowed us to use our data in a Google Earth client and publish it out. That all went really well. So it became part of the Open Data Initiative, and it was launched by the Premier, then Campbell Newman, in April of 2013. Now, I hate quoting that number up there, but it's a nice big number that politicians like to see. That's the number of map tile requests we've had up to, when that was, April, 15 billion, 11 billion, 15 million a day, basically, map tile requests going out. But the main thing to see here is that the ramp up in usage over that time. So it's become a very popular product, the information that people could get to quite easily. Then along came Google with this wonderful announcement that basically they were going to depreciate the Google Earth Enterprise that we were using. They were no longer going to support it, and basically where were we going to go? And the irony is that at the bottom of this page it says, was this article helpful to you? I can't say what our executive director said when he saw that. It wasn't nice. So then we kicked off. We had to do something. We had this product that we'd put out that was extremely useful to our internal customers as well as to the general public. We had to do something. So we commissioned an independent study of products that were out there that was commenced about mid-2015 and reviewed about 30 different products that were in the marketplace at the time. We decided on using the Esri JavaScript API to as the basis for the replacement of the Globe. At that point, the 4 API was in was very early beta, if not still alpha, but that was the recommendation that came out of that report, independent to the department, and we commenced in October 2015. So we did a bit of a prototype. First thing that the executive director wanted to know was that, was that this was actually going to work. So we spent, how long was it been? It was only a couple of weeks, wasn't it? Month, something like that, working on it. And we basically proved that what we were planning to use was a valid way forward. There were some critical things that we had to do. It had to be browser-based. One of the major issues of the Google Earth client was the download of the Google Earth client. It was basically the 15 minutes of death for that product. A number of departments wouldn't allow it to be downloaded. A number of senior executives wouldn't download it because they didn't understand it. So we needed something that was browser-based, something that was fairly intuitive, and something that would allow us to do all those things that are listed up there. design had to be mobile based. We had to be able to use it on mobile phones and tablets. We had to be able to get people using it off the desktop. We had to have the same data in it. So we had to make sure that the 600 and whatever layers of data that were in there were in the new Globe. So we came up with a 2D, 3D solution that provided more control over the data and made it as intuitive as we could to the customer. So, why is the Queensland Globe initiative so innovative? Well, it's browser-based for a start. We've got 2D, 3D in the browser client. There's no heavy download on it. There's no heavy client to install. It means that we can get it into departments or departments that previously were not allowed to use the Google Earth client. We're now able to use this product. It was customer focused on the user interface, so we wanted to make sure that the user could get the best out of this. And the last point there is we wanted to make sure that it was web service based. One of the big issues that we faced with the original Globe was that everything had to be cached, so that we had to have a continual maintenance environment on that thing. So every time the cadastre updated, which is nightly, we had to rebuild the cache. So therefore we only updated cadastre once a week, once every 2 weeks, twice a week. So the cadastre got out of date. The new environment, we wanted to make sure that any of these data sets that were continually in update, that we could keep them updated so we could use dynamic web services and only cache the ones that really needed and had to be cached. The technology we've used, so we started at server 10.3.1, we're now at 10.4.1, mostly. We've used the JavaScript API 4.x. We're up to 4.4. We're waiting for some new stuff to be released in later versions. The whole user experience, user UI, is done in Keystone and Passport. We've got on-premise servers for ArcGIS Server. We are moving some to AWS at the moment, and we're using AWS Beanstalk to host the application. What have we learnt from this? The Globe's dead. The old Globe will be shut down. It was meant to be the end of September, but it looks like it may be a bit later than that now. But the thing is, the data and the technology have to deliver the product. And going to web services has enabled us to ensure that no matter what the front end is, the data, the services will still be able to be used. The success of the Globe is linked to the familiar, I hate that word, how familiar people are with the product, the original Globe. There's a trust in that data now that has been built up. And we've tried to keep it as simple as possible. Web services that we've developed and published are just as popular as the Globe itself. So now those services are managed by the people that are actually custodians of the data. We don't have to have a team of a dozen people sitting around caching data. If one of the other departments wants to have data in the Globe, they can publish it themselves through ArcGIS Server, and we can consume it into the Globe. There's still more to come. The team are sitting at home, sitting now, starting to, actually most of them are here, waiting to ask me questions. We're working through things that users have asked for, enhancements that people have asked for. There's a few new things coming before Christmas around the topics, and I'll go and show you a demo in a moment of the Globe. Just a quick question, who has actually used the new Queensland Globe? Oh, better than normal, about half. So we're looking at the topics, we're looking at some more enhancements around being able to draw and edit features in the globe, some more import functionality around KML and shape, and some more imagery work. A lot of queries around the imagery at the moment and being able to determine which imagery you want to be able to see. So there's a lot more to come. Just stay posted. I'm going to do a demo now. So just before I switch over, I have to thank the Esri Australia staff and the JSA creative people that worked on the globe for us. So been really good. So if we just switch over to the globe now, I'll put my eyes on so I can see. So the Queensland Globe comes up with a nice splash screen and terms and conditions and data conditions that everybody's going to read before they click that and say get started. So they say that and get started. So the Queensland Globe is all really designed around providing as simple an interface as we could to the user. So down the left-hand side, we've got the panel of functions or topics, things that you use. Over on the left-hand side, we have, right-hand side, we have the legend that comes out, and we have your normal pan, zoom, and some tools. The idea being that the first thing that most people want to do is find an area of interest. So down in here we have a number of searches around street address, lot plan, land parcel, locality / suburb. Features of Queensland is sort of an all-encompassing search and a lat long search. So if we go in here and do a lot plan search for 43RG36, it's out near Dalby, it's got 18 coal seam gas wells on the property. And then we've found our area of interest. That's the parcel of land I'm interested in. And then there might be some topics that I want to look at around that area. So I might want to look at the mining interests there, and I might also want the property information. So I can choose which topics I want to see. And all the topics are is a grouping of layers into a sort of theme. In the layers, so in here we now have 21 layers in our map that you can turn on and off, all those normal GIS type things. Or you can go and add more data. And the add more data is there's 630 something layers in there at the moment. So go your hardest, you can turn them all on if you like, you won't see anything, but it'll draw them. Pete's not here. Yes, he is. It might kill Pete's servers, but anyway, it'll draw. And these are all grouped by biota, by ISO themes. So things like biota, which most people don't really understand, we've put a bit of a explanation of what that means. And these all drop down and you can add layers underneath them, or you can add layers, so you could add the whole of biota if you wanted to. So I'll just go back and turn off mine. So these topics is one area that is going to be changed at the Christmas release. There'll be a lot more topics, and there'll be a library of topics that you can add to. So if I just select one of these land parcels here, you'll notice that we didn't do a pop-up. We found that most people didn't like the pop-up. Well, our number one tester didn't like the pop-up mainly. So we've gone for a pull-out from the left that gives you a breakdown of what. So it's identified any layers that you've currently got on in the map, and told you that there's 10 land parcels that within the area that you've identified there, and then you can go through and get a bit more information about those land parcels if you want to. And you can write that off to your places and then use that to do further queries if you want to, or save that off. One of the key things here is that I've logged in. So I've logged in as myself using my lands account. You can use Facebook, Twitter, Google, QGov, or a lands department account to log in. And what that allows you to do, and I'll tell you right now, do that straight away because you get upset when you set your map up and haven't done it. You can then save your maps. So I've got 12 saved maps here, and you'll notice that there's a New South Wales one. These are just ones that I've done, prepared earlier, but I can also share these. So if I go here and click on my Sunshine Coast one, with all luck it'll work. So, no, I've lost my Sunshine Coast one. I'll go my Cyclone Debbie one. So you can add layers of data from other, so here's the feed from BOM to Cyclone Debbie. We can add services, so under layers here we can add data. So you can add web services from external agencies. So if Sunshine Coast, I know they've got all theirs out, you can add their web services, save that map, add your own data if you want to, and then if I want to share that map, I can share it with Facebook, Twitter, or an email. All you're doing is passing a URL to whoever you want to share that map with, and for 30 days that map is available. If they save it down, it stays there forever in their account. These maps are there as long as you leave them there, basically. So that's a very quick précis of the Queensland Globe. If you want to know more, there's myself, or there's a whole team of people here that can talk you through the Queensland Globe. And I finished with 2 minutes to spare.
Thank you, Greg. So we have time for a couple of questions. We have Jade in the middle of the room with a mic. And if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to ask them.
Hold on.
Hang on a second. Yep. Thanks.
Greg, when you log in and you add a KML or a web service, when you log out and then log back in again, will they be available within that environment?
It should be available. Yes. At the moment, KMLs come into places. Some of the work we're doing is actually creating KMLs as a layer.
With your saved maps that you went to and then you emailed on to someone else, if they download that and save that, does the data stay as at that date, or is it every time they open it up, it's updated with whatever the data is?
That's right.
So there's no time stamp on that?
No.
Okay.
It's live data. So whatever, it's basically current, whatever's current at the time.
Greg, I just want to know if you can also write queries to your layers. So you can write subsets of your layers and then save that as well and then share that out.
You can't export at the moment, but you can actually, thank you, you can actually query layers under the layers here. I'll pick one that's query. You can actually build up a query on that. Does that share, Helen? Does that save? No, it doesn't save at the moment. Yeah. share the map.
So the question was, for anyone who didn't hear, is if you save the map with a query, will that be saved
Yes.
down? And that's a yes.
Any more questions?
Yes, one here.
Any plans to add a time slider to show the different stages of imagery?
Yes, there's a whole raft of imagery activity planned probably after Christmas at this stage.
Back to doing the queries, I was mucking around on it the other day, and it's without having an attribute table to look at of what information is available. How are you able to know the kinds of queries that you could create besides just knowing, oh, we have a list of these columns, but we don't actually know what's in those columns?
That's a good question. You probably need to do a few queries first to understand the data before you can build an attribute query. Nobody's asked that one before.
Are we able to look at the metadata associated with those layers?
Yes, if we go back to the layers, there's a metadata link here that takes you off to Queensland Spatial Catalogue where the metadata is stored, and you can then download the data directly from there if you want to.
Yeah, so we will take one more question.
Hey Greg, is there any plans to give customers or users of the system the ability to drag and drop, say, an Excel spreadsheet and geocode that onto the service and then host stuff out from that?
There's a lot of work, well, not a lot of work, there's some thought being given at the moment to how we take the maps from the Queensland Globe and take them into something like Portal, or take Portal information and put it into the Queensland Globe. So we're looking at how we might create an interface that allows you to take because all it's doing is sharing a GeoJSON KML configuration, GeoJSON configuration file for the map. So we're looking at how we might be able to pass that to Pro or to Portal or to ArcMap or something like that, and allow that interaction between the two. And part of that may be being able to do that XML. That's how we may handle shapefiles as well, actually doing it in Portal and bringing it back in as a feature service from Portal rather than trying to write the import-export in the Globe itself.
I'll catch you later. Over B.
Okay, so if you have any more questions, you can chat to Greg outside of the Tech Hub or anyone from the DNRM team here.